How's it going, everybody? Good evening. It is 9:22, about to be 9:23 p.m. on Wednesday, July the 12th. I am Dusty Baker here with your sports update here straight from Wave 3 News Desk. And we're going to get right into this thing here. So, starting it out first, I just kind of want to break it down for exactly what we've been seeing so far in this sports world. And what we've been seeing lately, at the very least, has been a lot of basketball. And as we talk about this, we're going to kind of break it down team by team as far as where we're at with the U of L and with Kentucky. And we got two special teams, actually, that are out there competing at the moment. And those two teams would be the U of L women and the Kentucky men. They are competing in Canada at the moment, and we are going to actually hear from both Jeff Walz as well as hearing from John Calipari. And we're going to make sure that we get that content for you. And so we're working at that as we speak. We got those interviews directly in-house at the moment, and I'm going to try and get those for you. But talking earlier today about the impact that these teams have had in Canada, well, the U of L, they started out with their ride in Canada. They took on Puerto Rico, and they went on to win 78-55. Graduate student Sydney Taylor led the scores in the game with 22 points. She was 7 for 12 from the field, 6 for 10, also behind the arc as well. And another graduate guard as well, Kiki Jefferson. She was close to a triple-double. She had 10 points, 10 assists, had 7 rebounds, so just 3 shy of the triple-double. Then you have Nyla Harris and Olivia Cochran. They both tied the lead for the team with 7 rebounds. The Cardinals, as a team and as a whole, they had 27 assists. They had 30 made baskets. That led to their victory as well. So thus the reason, of course, why they were able to roll into the early lead in this tournament. They are 1-0, and that's a pretty hefty start. So as I mentioned, we are going to try and get Jeff Walz here. We've had some recent moves thus far within our actual station, just kind of developing our content, and we're trying to get that for you here at the moment. So as I speak into this, we're going to get this here. We have some technical difficulties trying to get these interviews moving here. We've had a lot of rebooting going on, and that's probably part of the process that's been happening here. While I'm talking, I will tell you that Kendrick Haskins, he is enjoying life right now. He's on vacation, but he will be back with me next week. So looking forward to that as we are able to kind of kick off Dusty and Kendrick Talk Sports. So we have actually worked around this technical difficulty. Here's Jeff Walz.
Internationally, the way they officiate and the way they call compared to back home. I think it's great for our kids because you have to be tough. If you're not tough, you cannot make it.
So Jeff Walz speaking there about his squad, and obviously early on, this is a brand new unit for him. So naturally, he's trying to just adjust to what he has. And this is a new team. He has 6 transfers, 5 returners as well. Of course, all the talk is going to be about how Haley Van Lith is gone to LSU. But while saying he was very confident in this team, he told us that he likes what he's seen so far from the squad. And that's obviously very good news if you're a U of L fan. Something to keep in mind here. They continue to play this week. U of L will continue to play in Canada. And 5:30 p.m. is their tip-off on Thursday. They will be broadcasted on CBS Sports Network as they continue to play in this tournament. Now, they will be taking on Team Canada. The University of Kentucky will also be doing the exact same thing. The Kentucky men playing later today as well, and they finished with an 81-73 win over Germany. Needless to say, Coach Calipari, he's trying to kind of get his pieces together here. He's trying to get his team to figure out, his new recruits. How do they blend together? Well, this is kind of what he talked about after that win.
You got a brand new team, and you're trying to say, well, you only are doing 2 or 3 things. That's all we could do. We can't even get it in on the side out. I tried to tell them to go to a line. We haven't done it yet. Just go on a line. Get it in. I mean, but they competed, and that's all you want to see. Do they have fight in them? Do they play to win?
There's going to be quite a bit of work cut out for this Kentucky squad, but let's be honest, this team has some seriously high expectations. If you listen to Kendrick and I talk about a week ago, we talked about just how good this team could possibly be. And it is amazing the recruits that they have. They have 3 top 6 recruits in this class. This is the number 1 class in the country. So this is actually the first time that they get the chance to mesh together, work together. And of course, as you heard from Calipari right there, he's animated because he's going to be getting all these questions of what does his team look like? Is he expecting a national championship? He's going to get all these questions when the reality is he just wants to see his players come together and work together. It's 4 months away from actually having tournament actual play. I mean, we're not even talking about March Madness, obviously. We're talking about just getting back on the court and playing a relevant game. So it's exciting for him to be able to see his kids a little bit earlier. They had 10 practices to prepare, and here they are now with the chance to actually, go head to head with somebody that's not their own color. And Trey Mitchell is a guy that I think really stands out to me, a guy that I'm excited about on this squad that could potentially make some noise for them moving forward. There's a couple guys out there that are going to definitely have some growing pains, but expect the older guys to really step up with such a young squad. So I think that's what we're going to be looking for here. Kentucky plays on Thursday as well. They also, like the U of L, will play Canada. Of course, it's the U of L women and the Kentucky men. So Team Canada for the women against U of L, Team Canada for the men against Kentucky. That will tip off at 8 o'clock p.m. And once again, that is also on CBS Sports Network. And so that is what you get for right now, your update with the U of L women and the Kentucky men. How about Jamal Murray, by the way, talking about Kentucky men? He wins the ESPY for the Comeback Player of the Year, of course, helping lead the Nuggets to the championship, to what was originally a guy that was coming off a serious injury. He was the 16th Kentucky men's basketball player to win the NBA championship when the Nuggets won it all this year. More importantly, though, huge comeback for him after a serious injury sustained. He missed 18 months before ultimately returning back to action, helping the Nuggets win the title. So huge story for him there. Huge win for Kentucky. Another great player in their system that is now developed at the next level as well. We're going to move on here real quickly to soccer. As we speak at the moment, it's the 66th minute. Lou City, they are taking on Pittsburgh at home, the Riverhounds SC. And it's a scoreless game, as I mentioned. At the moment, Lou City with 5 shots, Pittsburgh with 6. Shots on target, though. Lou City, no shots on target. As for Pittsburgh, they have 4 on target at the moment. Possession, though, has actually been dominated by Lou City early in this game. 59% at the moment, dominated by Lou City. Lou City passing the ball around an awful lot. Almost 100 more passes around than that of Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh a little more aggressive at the goal. Either way, hasn't worked out on either side offensively. Scoreless game, 66th minute. Tomorrow we'll give you kind of more of a recap of this game. But Lou City, by the way, I just kind of want to briefly talk about them and kind of the ride that they've been going on quietly. They are actually coming off somewhat of an undefeated streak, if you will. So they had the 1-0 win over Loudoun United, and that was on Saturday. The same Pittsburgh team in which Louisville actually went up against, they went scoreless against them. So technically that's a 2 game. Then they beat Las Vegas, the Lights. They shut them out 1-0. They technically have a loss, right? They have a loss technically, but it was in a friendly match, and they had lost 2-1 against the German squad in the friendly. However, prior to that, in USL play, they had tied with Phoenix. It was a 2-2 tie. And the last time that Lou City actually lost a game that counted was on June the 10th. So pretty decent ride for Lou City at the moment. But we'll see what happens here. It is, as I mentioned, scoreless game. Right now, scoreless at the 67th minute is what we have. Okay, I want to talk about one more thing, and it's Major League Baseball. We are coming off of what was an incredible series as far as All-Star Weekend, okay? First of all, the Home Run Derby. If you didn't have a chance to watch that, do yourself a favor, watch a recap of that. between Julio Rodriguez, the way that he hit 41 home runs in one showing, to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just kind of hanging in there the whole way and still finding a way to win. That was an impressive run between him and Randy Arozarena in the final round. That was so much fun to watch. But then turning to the actual All-Star game, which happened on Tuesday night, how about a Louisville Cardinal making an appearance? That was Will Smith, catcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers. You also had a Cincinnati Red, Alexis Diaz, the closer for the Reds, making an appearance in the game. The National League winning for the first time since 2012. They won 3-2. But I think it's more intriguing just to be able to say that you saw a Louisville Cardinal in there, you saw a Cincinnati Red, and I expect by next year you're going to see a lot of Reds. At the very least, I wouldn't be shocked to see Alexis Diaz back in this thing. He's one of the best closers in all of baseball. But then the easy talk is Elly De La Cruz, who many thought maybe should have been involved in this particular All-Star game. But, he's got such a young career. I think that he's going to be just fine netting that. He's arguably the most exciting player in all of baseball already. So you're going to see Elly make an appearance out there as well. And of course, with All-Star Weekend came the MLB draft. The Reds had a pretty decent draft. I was very intrigued by their first two picks in the first round. At the 7th pick overall, they brought in Louder out of Wake Forest. Louder, a great starting pitcher. He actually has the record at Wake Forest. No shocking here. No shock that it's a 15-0 record, was the best win-loss total in Wake Forest history. No shock in the slightest. A 1.87 ERA on top of that. And he's going to be paired nicely with Ty Floyd, the 38th pick out of LSU. Ty Floyd had 17 strikeouts in a single game, but not just a single game. He had 17 strikeouts in the College World Series final. That was the championship series, struck out 17 against the Florida Gators in 8 innings. Needless to say, that kid has a ton of firepower. A lot of people liking to compare him to Spencer Strider. I've been watching Louder quite a bit. He kind of gives me a lot more of, if you remember the name Jared Weaver, the longtime Anaheim Angel. I think he was technically an Anaheim Angel before the Los Angeles Angels turned. I think he was kind of in that little spurt when it went from Anaheim to Los Angeles. But he's a former Angel. Jared Weaver, never known for throwing for velocity necessarily, but just great breaking pitches and being able to locate. It's kind of what you see from Louder. He's not quite a Greg Maddux by any means, where the velocity is so low and the location so high, but kind of give or take, I would say Jared Weaver's probably my comp for him. Rhett Louder, special talent, 7th pick. Love the move. The Reds needing pitching in the foreseeable future, and I thought that was a great move. And quite frankly, you might see the same out of Floyd. Two guys that are more immediate impacts when you're seeing drafts kind of go more the high school route. To see the Reds go this direction, it's saying that they are trying to win, and they're trying to win now. Think about the rotation they have right now. It's relatively weak outside of Andrew Abbott, and you could sit here and say Hunter Green, when healthy, is a pretty great piece in that rotation. But outside of that, Lively has been a little inconsistent, also hasn't been healthy necessarily, up and down ride for him. You just can't really trust any of the bottom 4 or 5, if you will. Luke Weaver, one that comes to mind, that just simply he goes out there and he hasn't turned in quality starts at all this season. So to say that the Reds needed a piece, it was an understatement. Nick Delodolo, of course, being injured doesn't help their cause either. So trying to get some more immediate arms, I think giving them some depth, that's what they needed. They kind of hit the nail on the head in this draft. Really impressed by them. And also on top of that, just kind of want to throw out some courtesy to another Louisville player, because obviously in the draft, you're going to see players, drafted all across the board. There was a kid by the name of Christian Knapczyk that we thought had a chance to, at one point, maybe even be a first-round pick. Now, he wasn't quite that, but with the 161st pick in the draft, the Cleveland Guardians selecting Christian Knapczyk, who is a stud, I would say a stud shortstop out of Louisville. Really solid leadoff hitter. It can kind of poke the ball wherever he wants to, has great speed as well. kind of fits the Guardians mentality, I think, too. So I'm excited to see what Napsha can do. That was the solid pick, kind of the one that stood out for me in the draft, and specifically, of course, with the Louisville Cardinals as well. So that was a big win for the Cardinals to see another big name there. I also just can't help but talk about what we saw just the previous weekend prior to the All-Star break, when we saw Louisville Cardinals going head-to-head against each other in the league. You had Will Smith catching Bobby Miller, pitcher out of Louisville, facing Henry Davis. How about yet another star out of Louisville? So that was pretty cool to see that. You're going to continue to see the names from the U of L kind of shining on the bigger stage. So with that being said, though, that is your update for July the 12th. We're going to continue to update you here. You can also follow us on Twitter at Wave News Sports. Once again, that's at Wave News Sports. We will keep you updated around the sports world as we try to give you our best insight here as well with our podcast daily, discussing what's happening in and outside the world of sports in Louisville. And we'll keep you updated as we go along here as well. But that will do it for me here. I am Dusty Baker, and you can follow me as well at Dusty Baker TV. Kendrick Haskins will be joining me next week, but you will find me back here right at the desk sometime tomorrow night, roughly around 6:30 p.m. Should be able to give you the next sports update. And also, we will give you an update tonight at 11 o'clock on Wave News with the U of L and University of Kentucky, talking to both Calipari as well as Walls a little more extensively. So if you're interested in that, check it out tonight at 11 o'clock. We'll have a rundown for you then. Until then, though, hope you have a great evening, and we'll see you tonight later at 11 o'clock, and we'll see you tomorrow right here on the podcast. Take care, y'all.